Welcome to the future.
The future. Huh? Okay, what's going on here? Why is everything...
Family coasters.
Everything is
Family coasters.
in the future.
When I was a little kid, playing Roller Coaster Tycoon on my desktop in my bedroom, I always wondered what roller coasters would be like in the future. What kind of crazy technology we could come up with, what kind of insane concepts would come out as the years went by, and I just realized that the future that I was thinking of is now. Roller coaster innovation is at a ridiculous peak that we haven't seen in a very long time, but it looks different than it used to. Back in the day, roller coaster innovation looked like taller and faster and loopier and longer or something along those lines. It was big number make good. Nowadays, though, roller coasters aren't getting taller and faster, except for that one out in that country I'll probably never go to, but instead, they're getting more technologically advanced and creating more full experiences that people can have. While they haven't been completely shelved, high-intensity experiences have been pushed to the side a bit in favor of high-quality family experiences that favor inclusivity over intimidation. Don't get me wrong, these high-intensity rides still exist. Velocicoaster just opened up at Universal Orlando, one of the most popular roller coasters in the world. Iron Gwazi just opened up at Busch Gardens Tampa. Voltron just opened up at Europa Park, which looks like one of the most intense roller coasters on the planet. If you're worried about losing out on all those new intense rides, we're not going to lose them. But if you look at the list of additions at parks around the world, you will notice that that list is overwhelmingly filled up with family attractions. Not just kiddie attractions, but family attractions, family thrill rides. And I'm not talking about off-the-shelf cloned rides either. I mean, we've got some family boomerangs and things like that getting cloned everywhere, but there are tons of custom layout, full-fledged family attractions all around the world. And these new rides are popping up all the time. So why is this the future of roller coasters, and is it a good thing? I think it's very important to note that most of the people going to theme parks are not people like me, or probably you listening to this video, someone who is obsessed with roller coasters or loves high-intensity thrill rides. Not everyone's an adrenaline junkie, and in fact, most people are not. Obviously, the target demographic at theme parks is not roller coaster enthusiasts, but theme parks are opening roller coasters way more than they ever used to at any point in history. And there is a very good reason for this. Manufacturers are providing cheap options for parks to build if they want a mild thrill coaster for families. Just look at what Vekoma has been able to do over the last couple of years with their family boomerangs and their family launch coasters. They're everywhere, especially in Europe, but they're coming to the USA now too, and they're going to take over before we know it. And this is not an if it happens situation, this is a when it happens situation. I mean, look at Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood from last year. 39 inches is the height requirement for that ride. Everyone wants to ride it, and everyone can ride it. That is what theme parks want when they install a new roller coaster, and that makes a great investment for Dollywood. I mean, even look at some of those high-intensity manufacturers like Intamin and RMC. RMC just put out their Wild Moose model, which hasn't sold yet, but is a family version of their insanely intense thrill rides. Intamin has just cornered the family coaster market, and they're building a Space Mountain out in Japan. They built Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, which is one of the most technologically advanced roller coasters ever, and is one of the most popular family roller coasters on the planet. And another ride that doesn't get talked about nearly as much as it should is Zakon at Fuji-Q Highland in Japan. Intamin went crazy with that ride. So many absurd elements, and it's a family coaster at a park that is widely known for building the most thrilling roller coasters possible. Like, this is everybody moving in this direction. B&M, Family Inverted Coaster, Family Launch Coaster, both coming to Florida this year. Everyone is doing this. Theme parks spent the 1980s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s building up the biggest and fastest and most intense rides they could think of, and now they have to fill out that space between the Steel Vengeances and the Woodstock Expresses of their parks, because there's not much there for a lot of these places. My home park, Busch Gardens Tampa, is a great example of this. In a park with 10 operating roller coasters once Phoenix Rising opens, there are only 3 of them that do not have inversions, and one of them is a kiddie coaster. It would not surprise me at all if Busch Gardens kept adding family coasters for the foreseeable future to fill out that middle to bridge the gap between those high thrill coasters and the coasters that the kids can ride, which are few and far between right now. But still, inversions don't even have to stop a ride from being a family coaster anymore. B&M is producing these wing coasters for Chessington World of Adventures and the Legoland parks. They have inversions, but they're family coasters. And kids at really low height requirements can get on them, and they love them. So it doesn't stop the adults who want some sort of thrill from getting on, but it keeps the families involved. This is definitely not what I had in mind when I was daydreaming about the future of roller coasters as a kid, but I'm very pleasantly surprised by it. Because this rise of family coasters is going to force the high thrill coasters to step up their game to compete. What I mean by this is, as family coasters become more and more thrilling while still being accessible to people of all ages, the thrill coasters are going to have to differentiate themselves from those family coasters in order to stay relevant, because if they can't do that, then why would anybody ride the scary big coaster if they're more interested in the not scary big coaster? Because of this, I think we're going to get some crazy rides in the coming years. I mean, look at Voltron this year opening up, totally raising the bar. The Axis coaster, the first one's coming soon, and even though it's only like 15 to 20 feet tall, it still looks like it's going to be nuts. And as they get bigger, they're only going to get crazier. There has never been a better time to be a theme park fan and a roller coaster fan in general, because the innovation that's happening as we speak is so much more than we've ever seen before, and in such a way that everyone can get involved at any time and enjoy themselves, both on the high thrill side of things and especially in the family side of things. Think about the rides that kids are going to get to grow up with nowadays compared to the rides that people my age did. I'm a late 90s baby, and I grew up with Scorpion at Busch Gardens and Python, both of which are a lot for a young kid. A lot of headbanging on Python, which I thought was funny at the time, but Scorpion was also really intense and was a lot for me at that time. I loved it, but I couldn't ride it that many times in a row if I wanted to because of how intense it was. Back then, there really wasn't anything to bridge the gap between the kiddie coasters and the rides that started having inversions. I mean, all I can really think of are like Wild Mice and Zero Tivolis, which are fine rides, I guess, but compared to what we're putting out now on the family coaster market, it's not even close. Young kids right now are going to get to grow up with these awesome Vekoma family coasters, Intamin multi-dimension coasters, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, all these B&M family coasters that are going to start showing up. Everything that they're growing up on is much higher quality than we had, and obviously that's just the passage of time and things getting better, but not only are rides getting better, but they're becoming more inclusive. They're having those options for young people. And I think that's really important to growing the community of theme park and roller coaster fans. So to answer my own question, yes, I think the future of roller coasters is not only bright, but exactly what it needs to be. In a perfect world, every theme park, no matter their size, can afford some ridiculously well-themed, over-the-top roller coaster for every edition they make, but that's just not the case. So all of these cheap options for smaller parks to include so that everywhere in the world has a chance to get people involved with roller coasters is a net positive no matter what. Every time some obscure park in the middle of nowhere in a country that doesn't really have many roller coasters adds one of these Vekoma family boomerangs or some of these other family coasters that are becoming the new thing nowadays, another group of people who otherwise would not have been exposed to theme parks or roller coasters might end up getting hooked on them. And when it comes to the theme park or roller coaster community, I say the more the merrier. Bring as many people in as you can. There's enough fun to go around. So, while the future of roller coasters may look different than originally expected, I wouldn't have it any other way.